In last lecture, we started with if statements. In this lecture, we'll continue with arrays. So let's start. I will remove this code you wrote in the last lecture. You can still find it in my GitHub repository. So in resources of this lecture, I will remove all of this, and I will keep here only our two instances of our car. So car and a car2, and I will write here array. Okay, first I will write it and then I will explain it. So I'll write here const. Let's say we will call it some list. Write some list. As a name can suggest you, this will be a list of data. If you want to store multiple data, you can use arrays. So for example, you need to store more values. So you can need to store maybe some car years, maybe some car brands, or whatever you want. You can store them into an array. You can create an array like this. You need to write here square brackets, and you have just created empty array some list. Okay, let's write here curly bracket, not curly bracket, but semicolon. All right, so we have here empty array called some list, and let's add here some values. So for example, we would like to keep here car brands. Okay, so some list, and this way we can rename it for a car brands, and I will store here Mitsubishi. I can store here Mercedes, and so on. Just separate your values with a comma, and you can add here values. Now let's console log our car brands. So console log car brands. Like this. Let's save this. Let's go back to our terminals. It's not this command, but I would like to call here node app.js. So node app.js. And you can see here we displayed our array of two items, Mitsubishi and Mercedes. All right, let's go back to our coding editor. So what we can do with it, we can store here multiple values, different types of values, not just as strings. We can mix it up. We can store here Mitsubishi, Mercedes, 10 value. I can store here empty object. I can store here function and so on, but it's of course not recommended. You should store here only the values with the same type. Okay, I can store here function, but I need to give it a name, or I can create here anonymous function like this. All right. Okay, so now when I will run this, you will see I stored here Mitsubishi, Mercedes, number 10, empty object, and a function. That's not very good. All right. But I just want to show you that you can store also values with the different types to your array. Okay, so we have here our car brands, and you have available few functions on your car brands. So for example, if you want to get the length of your car brands, you can use car brands dot length. And yeah, this is a property of this array. We will get into this later, how it's possible that we have available on arrays some functions, and how it's possible that we have available on a string some functions. So for example, I can do it also on a string. I can write here empty string, and I can use here length. Okay, how is this possible? How it's possible to have some function on a property? I will be talking about this later because this is very important. But for now, you can just know that when I have an array or a string, I can use here dot length. Okay, I can get a property of my array, which will get me a length of this array. In this case, length of this array is a 2, right? So now I will console log this. You will see I will get here 2 because I have 2 items. Okay, so when we have an array, each item in the array is assigned to some index. So when I want to get specific item from my array, I need to access it on specific index. So when for example, I would like to get here my Mitsubishi only for a car brands. How can I extract it from an array? Okay, so let's console log here our car brands. And similarly as with the object, you can use here square bracket syntax, and you need to get here index of your item. Indexing in an array starting with an index of a 0. So this item, first item, is stored on an index of a 0, and then it's continuing with a 1. If you would store here a third item, this would be on index 2, index 3, and so on. Okay, so when I want to get my car brand Mitsubishi, I need to get here car brands item on index 0. And this will get me Mitsubishi. When I want to get Mercedes, I need to access here car brands on index 1. All right, let's get it. And you can see Mitsubishi and Mercedes are here. Perfect. So we have here our elements on index 0, on index 1. What if I would like to add some more items into my car brand? So let's say I would like to add here, let's say some other brands. I can access here car brands, and I have here accessible function called push. Okay, I can use here a function push, and I can push here more items. So let's say I would like to push here, what else? We have here Audi, let's say. All right, and I can push here also car brand.push, and let's say this will be what we have, Skoda. Okay, so now when I will display my car brands, you will see that we will have here Mitsubishi, Mercedes, Audi, and Skoda. This will adding items on the last spot here. Okay, so this will push it on the just after last element into array. Okay, so after Mercedes, so Audi, Skoda. So when I will display it, you will see Mitsubishi, Mercedes, Audi, and Skoda are here. So we push them into array. If you are wondering how you can remove item, you can do it like this. Now we have here Mitsubishi, Mercedes, Audi, Skoda. So how I can remove, let's say, Audi. Okay, so you can write it like this. Car brands, function splice, and you need to access here index of the item you want to remove. So we need to access here. Now we have here Mitsubishi, Mercedes, Audi, Skoda. So Audi is on an index of 2. Okay, because indexing starting with a 0, Mitsubishi is 0, Mercedes is 1, Audi is 2. So we need to access our item 2. And you want to remove only one item. Here, the second parameter here, second value, is how many items you want to remove starting with the index of 2 in your array. We want to remove only one item. Okay, so when I will console log out car brands, Audi shouldn't be there. All right, so let's console log out this. Let's go to our terminals. Let's run this, and you can see our Audi is not here. If you want to remove more items, just let's provide here bigger value. So you want to remove 2 items starting with the index of 2. So Mitsubishi index 0, Mercedes index 1, Audi index 2. Okay, so it's removing starting with the Audi, and we are removing 2 items. So Audi and Skoda. Now when I will console log, you will see we have here only Mitsubishi and Mercedes. All right, so this is a pushing to array, this is a removing from array, this is an array of our string elements. What if I would like to store objects to our array? Of course, you can do it. Let's comment this code so you have still access to it. Let's select everything here. Let's press here command and a slash, and let's create here a new array called cars. And let's get to a cars, are a car and a car 2. Car and a car 2. Now when I want to execute our functions from a cars array, so display car info for a car and a car 2, display car info, we can use here cars array on an index of 0. I would like to execute here, so display info. And the same I can do for my car 2. So cars on an index of 1, which will be my car 2, display info. Okay, so let's save this. Let's go to our terminals, node app.js, and you can see here Mitsubishi Benz and Mitsubishi Lancer are here. And maybe we should change the name of this brand of our first car, so this should be Mercedes. All right, so we have our brand change, we are displaying car info. You can imagine if we would have more cars here, and if we want to execute a function on our car, this is not very good. We need to manually write here all of our cars, and we need to execute all of our functions. When you want to repeat your code, some amount of the time, or maybe infinite amount of the time, or maybe you want to repeat your code until some condition is met, you can use loops. You have, for example, you have available for loops, while loops, and so on. And I will just write a for loop here. I will not explain it, and I will continue with this in the next lecture. So I will write you simplest for loop. Let's write here for, like this. So we will provide a keyword for normal brackets, curly brackets for body, and here you will write expression. Okay, so to the for we will write expression like this: let I is equal to 0, I is less than 10, and I plus plus. All right. Now let's console log here just I. Now you can guess what we'll get here. Okay, so let's save this. Let's go to our terminals. Let's execute here not upload.js. You can see here what we get here. I will not explain it. And this will be actually assignment for a next lecture. So please think about this code. Maybe you can find some resources on this on internet, and let's try to understand it. We will start with this in the next lecture, and I will start to explaining you loops. So guys, that should be it from this lecture, and let's continue in the next one. Cheers, guys.